What do you know about the girls that have, in fact, been traced? And we understand there are still approximately 82 that are unaccounted for.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me. We shouldn't be under any illusion that we're talking about a country that is at war with a sect that has declared a war against the entire country. And what happened in Chibok was uh, very saddening because we're talking about girls. Girls being the precious jewelry of every civilization, they get all the care and protection they can get from any country, not only their parents or their relations. Having said that, what happened in Chibok was a tragedy of the highest proportion that any country would wish for. But we are talking about people that have interpreted Islam wrongly, that have found solace in abducting young girls. Uh, Chibok girls became unique and held the limelight for a very long time because of the numbers that were involved. At the point the Chibok girls were abducted, many young girls were equally abducted. Not even girls, but young men were equally forcibly conscripted by Boko Haram insurgents to fight their war. A refusal to join them will incur their wrath, and then the family could be targeted and could be killed. And for the fact that the nation was at war, the nation was doing a lot of things at the same time. The nation was focusing on the military, refueling the military, providing protection for the entire Northeast. Don't forget the fact that the war was being fought across four countries' borderline. It involves Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. And we're talking about a very massive landmass that will require more than 500,000 army personnel. And then you're talking about Boko Haram insurgents that have mastered this particular terrain that could easily move because of the porosity and the large expanse of land that we're talking about. So they can move easily from Nigeria to Cameroon. They can move easily from Cameroon to Chad. They can move easily from Chad equally down to Yemen because they're talking about the Sahel, which is a conflict zone. So this very particular situation made it easy for them to really move about with whoever they abducted. So it was a war situation. And it is unfortunate that up to this moment, uh, 80 girls, as you rightly pointed out, are unaccounted for.
We also understand at the time when the girls were kidnapped, there were over 276 girls, I understand. And the older girls then were forced into marrying members of Boko Haram. I also came across articles and news bits where some of those girls, or most of the girls that had been forced into marrying the Boko Haram soldiers had given birth to children. What has happened to them? Has there been any follow up? And because they've got children now from these Boko Haram guys, do you think that they'll ever come in, reintegrate with their families? Will they be welcomed back into the families with these children? That they have with that they've had with these Boko Haram fighters.
Yeah, from what I know, uh, some of these girls have been reintegrated into their communities. Some other girls have returned back to the Boko Haram guys as a result of discrimination and psychological torture they are suffering from the people. Now, this very particular situation, these girls found themselves were not their own making. It was not a choice by them. It was something that was imposed on them. The marriage was forcefully conducted. giving birth to a child was forcefully done because they lack the power to resist. You're talking about people that are ruthless, people that are armed, people that could do anything at any time, the people that could do anything at any time. So, but instead of the people to welcome them, and they couldn't have equally left these children with the Boko Haram insurgents. At least they will be killed. Because every mother will cherish the child that she has given birth to, however the circumstances are, however bad those circumstances are. So instead of the communities and the parents to give them the needed support, they seem to stigmatize them as if these are choices that were made by them. But these choices are imposed on them. And so these are some of the challenges that came with that very particular forceful abduction, forceful marriage, and then the resultant birth that took place between these girls and their captors. So it is a failure of the community to support somebody that needed their support to heal, to normalize, and to equally of their lives and start life afresh. All they needed is a support because they are victims. They are not the orchestrators of what has befallen them. So some communities were understanding, were supportive, and those girls are still living with them. Some have gone back after they became traumatized, arising from stigmatization and teasing that went with what has befallen them.
Okay, I also understand that approximately 90 Chibok girls are still missing. And based on the accounts of former abductees, the Murtala Muhammad Foundation believes that a third of those girls have died, very sadly, have died in captivity. Some died of childbirth, some of starvation or snake bites, others in government airstrikes against, of course, Boko Haram. And this statement was released by Aisha Mohammed Oyebode, the foundation's head. This is a Parents Association for the Chibok girls, also has estimated that a lot of those girls are now dead. Um, are you, as a community, still keeping that narrative alive? Bring back our girls, or 10 years later, do you believe it's now time to forget about it and move on?
You see, we are talking about human life here until we have confirmation because as far as I'm concerned, these are all speculations. Nobody is able to tell what the actual things that have happened to girls are. Some of them, it was reported that some of them refuse to equally leave their captors that have become their husbands as a result of the fact that they are attuned with whatever message, whatever connections, whatever affections that has bonded them with these particular captors of theirs. Now, until we are certain that a third of them maybe died of snake bite or childbirth or something, we won't say we should forget about them because we are talking about human life, and human life is precious, even in the sight of Allah. So we can't afford to joke with even one until they are accounted for, until we bring it to closure. And this is not something that may happen between now and tomorrow. And that is why we can take in 10 years and we keep talking about them and keeping the narrative alive. We want to understand whether they are alive and they refuse to return as we hide in steps, or that they died as a yesterday of Murtala Mohammed Foundation had stated. Until such a time, it is not time to forget about these particular girls, and it is not over yet.
Okay, and that's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for your time on the show this morning. And all I will say in closing is that 10 years later, it seems as if the world has largely forgotten the plight of the so called Chibok girls. The tragedy is still ongoing for the victims and their families. A very, very sad story indeed. I can't even begin to imagine what those parents are going through. The absolute heartbreak of not knowing where their girls are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with them, inshallah. And that's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for being with me on the show this morning. Until Monday morning at the same time. Be safe, drive carefully,
Thank
and
you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. From me, Julie Ali, and the team here at Salam Media.